His reputation is expanding faster than the universe. He once had an awkward moment, just to see how it feels. He lives vicariously through himself. He is the most interesting man in the world.
We don't have to fight. I issued him in writing, I sent it over my demands. He leave the UFC for no less than 12 months. He issue an apology to the fans. Simple things.
He tried to feed a bus a carrot, and now you're telling me that country has computers? I didn't know that.
Is that camera big enough to take in the largest arm in Westland, Oregon that has found its way to Houston, Texas? Because that thing looks a little bit small.
Yeah, I think it is.
All right, well then we can continue.
Mirko Crow Cop, one leg cemetery, one leg, whatever. Well, what happened, Mirko? What happened to your legs? Nothing happened. The referee's not wearing an earpiece. The promoter didn't come in the back and tell your opponent when to go down. That's what happened. I lost my motivation. No, you didn't. You suck. You suck just like Fedor sucks. You suck just like Mandalay sucks.
Go out, it's New Year's, watch the ball drop. Tune in next week. We'll tell you who won.
Kenny, though, in terms of Alistair Overeem, and I certainly appreciate your opinion, coming off that resounding win at the K1 World Grand Prix Championships, a lot of people, Chael, Kenny, think he's the best heavyweight striker we have in MMA. Is that too much of a compliment?
Well, a lot of people think that Elvis Presley's still alive as well. I don't know that Overeem is an MMA fighter at all.
Do you remember when I said he fed the bus a carrot?
I do.
Were you even listening? Is this thing on? Is this on? And then the other one was petting the bus, saying, "Whoa, big fella." He thought it was a horse. And now you're telling me they have computers in Brazil? That's crazy to me. What was your question?
No, I'm sore, tired, under the weather, overtrained, undermotivated, and still tough enough to beat this guy.
If I say something in a very private manner that isn't intended for a certain audience, yeah, come on, you can't hold that against me. I picked my medium very carefully when I talked about Brazil. I went to the internet. And if I had the foggiest idea that they had computers in Brazil, I wouldn't have done that.
You know, if I beat Anderson Silva and win the world title, I imagine I'll get in a public dispute with the UFC. I'll call Dana a bunch of names throughout the media. I imagine I'll leave the company. After about a year or so, I'll realize there's nowhere else to go, return to the UFC with a raise, and probably coach the reality show.
And that's not a dig at anyone in particular, is it, Chael?
I'm just saying, it seems to be the trend, isn't it?
It is ridiculous. There's no such thing as pound for pound. There's not. It's this mythical thought. And the people that sit around and attempt to create a pound for pound list are one step away from the same people that sit around and discuss the different possible integers as to why Batman could beat Superman. It's impossible to know. It's a ridiculous topic.
Then Anderson's a big bully, you know. He goes out and says just ridiculous things, like he challenges Frank Mir to a fight. He's not qualified to make Frank Mir a sandwich, let alone qualified to get in there and fight with Frank Mir. There's no commission in the world that would sanction that beating.
If I would have beat Anderson, did you watch that fight? In what parallel universe can you punch a man 300 times? He wraps his legs around your head for 8 seconds and they declare him the winner. In my hometown, on the streets of Westland, Oregon, if you lay on your back with your legs wrapped around a man's head for 8 seconds, that does not make you a winner. That makes not a winner.
Well, I don't do trash talking, at least in my estimation. Perhaps I don't know the definition of it. I feel like I'm just talking. You ask the questions, I answer the questions. I don't know that that's trash. It's sincere and it's from my heart and it's how I feel. I think trash talking, at least my understanding, is kind of where you make something up. You know, your mom is so fat, that type stuff, when the guy's mother is perfectly in shape. It's just something you say to be funny.
I was in Las Vegas when the Nogueira brothers first touched down in America. There was a bus, this is a true story, there was a bus that pulled up to a red light and Little Nog tried to feed it a carrot while Big Nog was petting it. He thought it was a horse. This really happened. Do you believe me that happened?
Anderson's a dirtbag, and he's also a bully. And he also ducked me for 4 years. Yushin Okami's the last guy to beat him, so he doesn't fight Yushin either.
This guy's delusional. This guy thinks his 22 wins in Japan were real. With a referee with an earpiece. Look, Vanderlei, you didn't win those fights in Japan. You had one fight in Japan, dummy. It was with Charles Crazy Horse Bennett and you got knocked out. But then again, when you got a guy so delusional that he really thinks he won those fights in Japan, nobody's like let him in on the gag. Hey, Vanderlei, you didn't really win those. When you get a guy that delusional,
Kind of late for game planning, right? I mean,
I don't do game plans. Listen, guys, you can take all these guys with their 8th grade education and their gold teeth trying to sit around and break down a fight. This is the most unsophisticated and unwell thought out thing you need to do in life. 2 half-naked men are going to get in a steel cage and fight for the applause of a drunken, rowdy crowd in Houston, Texas on Saturday night. We don't need to plan for this.
I want an easy fight. Anderson Silva, Vanderlei Silva. Either of the Silvas. Bigfoot Silva. They all suck. Give me a Silva.
So if I'm worse now and I'm only 290 punches better than the competition, I'm still on top.
Not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Now, I'm just wondering, obviously, it's been a while since we've seen you. Are you a different Chael Sonnen? Have you worked on anything that, I saw you working on some spinning back kicks in the cage and whatnot. Have you added any tools to your arsenal since you've last fought?
No, I try to. I mean, I try to for every fight. Always skill building. There's no spot in the octagon I'm comfortable. There's no spot where I think, okay, we got that covered, let's move on. So I try to get better everywhere. And, from the techniques you just mentioned to, stuff on the ground, conditioning, strength, whatever it is, always working hard. And again, I don't want to just be the best. I want to be extremely dominant. I want to really expand that gap. So, you take risks. Sometimes you learn new techniques, and in the process you forget the old ones. So.
We spoke to Vanderlei on Wednesday, and we asked him about you, and he said that obviously not a big fan of yours. He said that he wants you next, and when you do meet, his quote was, he will kill you and he will kill you fast. I'm wondering if you saw that interview, and what do you think of him saying that?
Vanderlei, you are an immigrant from Brazil. I am a gangster from America. Are you sure you want to play that game with me? Listen, Vanderlei, I will do a home invasion on you. I will cut the power to your house, and the next thing you hear will be me climbing up your stairs in a pair of night vision goggles I bought in the back of Soldier of Fortune magazine. I'll pick the lock to the master room door, take a picture of you in bed with the Nogueira brothers working on your jiu-jitsu. I'll take said photograph, post it at www.dorksfrombrazil.com. Password, not required. Username, not required. That, Vanderlei, is how you threaten somebody, dummy.
Part of the process of continuing to try to get better.
You have talked about switching things up from a camp perspective. Why did you decide to do this?
Well, I just kind of needed a little bit of a change, a little closer to my house, driving-wise. For 10 years, I've been to the same gym twice a day, every day. The same drive, the same smells, the same sights, and just try to kind of get a little bit of a change, maybe just more mentally than physically, just kind of mentally switch things up a little bit.
If I told you a karate guy with a disgruntled, has-been, never was that good B-level actor in his corner is going to headline a UFC, you would have told me I was ridiculous. You would have said maybe in Japan where it's not real, but not here. So he befriends Steven Seagal. I don't really get what the big deal is. I don't see what's so neat about it. He stands on one foot, he kicks a guy with one leg. Joe Rogan goes bananas, but that doesn't mean that that's a hard move to pull off. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you remember when I said horse a minute ago? But it was actually a bus, and both the Nogueira.
Yes.
You remember that?
I do.
They truly have computers. I really didn't know that.